Well, this is a technical report generally, bringing together the management of our bank account balances and so forth. Draw your attention to the very low interest rates that we are getting at the moment and assume to be getting. That's on page 119, because that's very pertinent to some of the strategy that we're presenting this evening. This money, we've got over £100 million in the bank usually, or available for the Treasury manager, and it's earning so little that it's laughable. We have allocated some of the money to the CCOA, local authority property bonds, and that has helped a bit. I know some others earning a little bit more than 1%, but generally it's desultory. So that is why we are looking to make use of some of that money to earn its way better later in the agenda. The recommendations are on to receive the report and to make some minor adjustments to the technical lending that we make, and to add to the money available to CCOA property bonds. And I will put those recommendations to the Council.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Cantrell is proposing an amendment which is on page 11 of the information pack. Councillor Cantrell, do you have a seconder?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Would you like to introduce your amendment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As members are most probably aware, this is a technical report, but this is a very important report. We've heard in the previous item that members' grasp of the finances of this authority may have a different perspective. So, for example, my colleague did point out that we have an internal bank function, which is the Treasury, that lends that money out to certain parts of the council. What this report is saying, Mr. Mayor, is that basically we're lending 20 million from the Treasury in order to invest in commercial property. Unfortunately, and we had this debate at committee, and we as opposition members did raise this issue, 20 million represents, on a conservative basis, 20% of the cash sitting in the bank account that we have as an authority. But actually, in reality, because some of that cash is other people's cash, it's most probably about 25%. And so what this amendment seeks to do, Mr. Mayor, is actually give it due consideration by actually asking officers to come back to the committee and actually produce a report that looks at the allocation of that cash across different asset classes, and in particular, where we're proposing to spend that money on physical property assets. So hopefully this amendment is not controversial to members, and it's something that I hope members opposite will support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, this amendment, which I'm seconding, arises from a deficiency, I think, in the information that was available for members of the committee. The report, and it's again here with these papers, carries no discussion, no analysis of the proportion of the proposal that we would be loaning from our Treasury funds, about a fifth of them, from our reserves, to buy an illiquid asset, which is commercial property. The issue being that these reserves are here for a purpose. They're not just here to be invested. They are there, all of them, for a purpose. And if that is not the case, then there's something wrong elsewhere with our policies. So lending money out from this pot into a very inflexible target, commercial property, can't be liquidated very quickly, does seem a very radical step, and one which Councillor Robertson didn't even refer to in his presentation of the report. It's possibly was almost certainly the most fundamental aspect of what is being voted on now. So there is no argumentation, no substantiation, and no evaluation in this report. And my belief is that if that's all the Executive Councillor is basing his decision on, then I'm seriously worried about the future finances of this council. Evidence like it is, or actually isn't, it looks just like a political whim. Now, I'm sure it's not, but we do need as a council, all of us, to be informed about what we are doing, and this report does not do it, and Councillor Robertson's remarks introducing it don't do it either. So what are the terms of this internal loan, this huge internal loan? Has it any precedent? What's the payback period? What's the risk of the money being needed for the purpose it was there for in the first place? These are all questions which aren't answered in this report, weren't answered at the committee, and it's the reason why we're suggesting through this amendment that a report is brought to the next opportunity for the council and its committee to discuss this, so that we can actually have some transparency about the implications of this decision.
Councillor Herbert.
Well, this has come to council. We don't mind it coming to council, and I don't think we've got any problem with there being a report. But the opportunity exists, and members can use it at committee. This is an innovative approach. It's not a political initiative. It's an officer initiative which has continued to uncover effectively reserves that under your period lay dormant. We're now up to £50 million in terms of underused assets. And you, as leader, Councillor Vick, were also in charge of finance. So what you've got to ask yourself is why, for a period of the 14 years that you ran the council, did you have a stash of money in bank accounts that wasn't earning anything at all? So we're very happy to have the report. You had full opportunity at the committee to ask lots of questions. You had the reports in advance. You had officer briefings. And you could have got a number of the answers before raising it today. So there is no secret plot. There is no secrecy about this. This is a public approach. It's saying, look, if you've got internal reserves, why just leave them in the bank? Clearly there are judgments to be made, and we're happy to have a further discussion. But it isn't as if you haven't had the opportunity to get to the point.
Councillor Avery.
Thank you, Chair. I just, a point from the Housing Scrutiny Committee perspective, to establish some of this money is from the HRA. We don't know until the end of the year how much. Clearly the HRA benefits if there's a higher rate of return on that, but it also runs a risk. It shares in the return, it shares in the risk. If the money was lost, it would be lost to the HRA. That is a lacuna that has been either uncovered by asking questions, and I'm not sure there's an easy way around it. It's just the way it is, but that is really HRA money at risk. So I think that this report, and I'm glad that you welcome it, so it seems like we're going to get one. This is a report that the Housing Scrutiny Committee would be interested in, and the Council for Housing would be interested in, I believe. Thank you.
Is there any further debate on the amendment? Then I'll take Councillor Robertson to reply to the amendment.
At Strategy and Resources, I'm pretty sure that we got a contribution from our head of finance on the issue. The cash flow forecast for the years ahead clearly shows that there is no need for this money to be tied to be kept in liquid form to meet immediate needs. The cash flow forecast clearly shows that it could be released and for investment. That's the important thing. You're right that we need to check on that sort of thing, but we have done. We have checked and we know that the money could be invested in property without a problem. What you've got to remember is that other councils around the country, Huntingdon, Huntingdonshire, for instance, and are investing in property because they believe that's what they should be doing about it. They're doing it. In Nottingham, they're borrowing 150 million. External borrowing, 150 million pounds to invest in property, because that's where they feel that they can do best for their residents by investing money and earning income from them. We don't have to borrow externally. We've got money sitting in the bank that is not needed, and the cash flow forecast shows it's not needed, and that's what we're going to use the money for. Now, that said, as earlier said, we're quite happy for a report to be produced for you.
Can we move to a vote on the amendment? All those in favour, please show. Any debate on the substantive? Then we'll move to the vote on the substantive. Please show.
Or thereabouts.
And those against?